Hey, what's up, peoples? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Trap No More Podcast. I'm your host, JoJo, and I'm grateful, man, grateful for you guys tapping into this special edition. Normally, I go live on Sunday evenings, and I'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I got this young man who, this young man's been through a lot. He was in the foster home through most of his youth. His brother ended up adopting him out later on, but in the process of all of that, he got stuck in gang banging, incarceration, addiction. And today, though, this young man, he's a young man. Let me put emphasis on that. He's a young man that has found, the light. I'll say it like that. He made a 180 turn and is doing something with his life different today. And I'm very proud to bring him on tomorrow evening, so he could share his story. It's a very powerful story. And he's doing great things right now with his life. And, yesterday, I believe, I'll let him share, but he was all excited because he got his driver's license for the first time. And, it's just them little achievements, but he's doing very well. So he'll be on tomorrow. And for you guys that are on TikTok, we are live on YouTube, Trap Families. If you want to see it a little bit better, I know I got the screen on there. I'm right here. Sheila's on the monitor right here, but you guys can tap in over there as well. But for everybody else, thank you guys on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube. Appreciate all you guys tapping in. But today, I'm excited about today's guest. I've had a lot of interesting people. I've known a lot of people that have changed their lives around them, doing great things. A lot of good people have been on my podcast. But today's guest, I believe she got some good information for all of you prison wives, prison moms, prison dads, prison girlfriends, prison children, because one of the things that I talk about a lot on my podcast, Sheila, is that, a lot of times us prisoners, ex-prisoners or prisoners, I should say, we go to prison and we have a chance to focus on ourselves, because there's nothing else really to do in there. We receive some sort of treatment for the most part, as far as being able to think about our past, think about our future, think about our mistakes in life. And, a lot of us jump on a lot of them self-help groups and, we get some sort of treatment while we're in there, while our family is out here continuously dealing with life day in, day out, hustling and grinding and trying to make the ends meet. And, for my wife, being a young gang member, raising a child, wanting to do what was right, it was hard for her. And I seen her struggle. I seen my wife battling to just, keep her head on straight. Yeah. And when I came home, I was expecting, everything to just be peaches and cream. And, they were going to be happy. I was home. I'm going to be a dad now. I'm going to be a husband. I'm going to jump into the workforce. And everything went berserk. Everything, when I came home, nothing like I pictured it took place. But I'm going to let you share, though. But before I go any further, all you new viewers, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Be sure to share this video right now. And I'm telling you, if you know a prison mom, prison wife, prison girlfriend, any of them, man, text them right now and tell them to log in right now. They do not want to miss this episode. That's how powerful I believe it's going to be. I prayed about it, and God told me, yup, this is going to be a powerhouse podcast today. So, Sheila, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day. I know we've been talking for a couple of weeks trying to make it happen. And, man, I am so grateful to have you on Trap No More Podcast. So why don't you, start off and tell us a little bit about, where you're from and what, who Sheila is.
All right. Well, let me say thank you so much for the invitation and the name of your organization, of your podcast. It grabbed me because anytime I hear families, because a lot of times when it comes to incarceration, the focus is always on the individual, the citizen on the inside, and no one hands the families the mic. So a little about myself. My name is Shelia Bruno. Of course, I live in Humble, Texas, the mother of 2 beautiful daughters, 5 handsome grandsons. And I just want to jump right into this. I'm very passionate about this. So y'all might see some tears. right? I'm very, very passionate about this. So, wife after prison. A lot of times, individuals hear the name wife after prison and they assume that I have been to prison. Last last year, the executive director for a organization reached out to me, and they were planning their second chance event. And so she reached out to me and asked, she was interested in me speaking. And so we started to have a conversation. And then she said, "Oh," she said, "I thought you had been to prison." And I showed her I hadn't been to prison. And she said, "Oh," she said, "we were looking for someone with lived experience." And I was having a conversation with her. I was in my restroom and she couldn't see me, of course, but my hand went up. Because lived experience is the wisdom, the pain, and the perspective you have when you're supporting someone inside. You're not just standing on the sideline, with this incarceration support. You in the trenches.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So I want everybody to know, whether you are a spouse, whether you are a parent, whether you have a parent who is incarcerated, you have lived experience. And don't let nobody discount that or take that away from you. So a little about how my lived experience started. In 2014, I was working overseas in Bagram, Afghanistan, and I was on Facebook. I really wasn't a really Facebook fan kind of person, but I received a friend request from someone I dated in the 9th grade, 38 years. He was my boyfriend, used to walk me to class and hold my books and all of that good stuff. His name is Kevin Bruno. And he reached out to me and we started having a conversation. Now, keep in mind, I hadn't seen Kevin in 38 years. And for 28 of those years, he shared with me that he had been to prison. And when I was in school, I never would have put Kevin Bruno in prison in the same sentence.
Yeah.
And so that was in 2014. In 2014, Kevin and I got married. An amazing dude, just amazing dude. And we started a trucking business, and I was his dispatcher. Kevin and I would pray together. He prayed over me. Just an amazing guy. He didn't require much. And we thought we had beat the odds, within that 3 to 5 years. Individuals, statistics say that an individual will likely to recidivate. But he had been home 4 years when we reconnected. But what happens when the prison is in your mind? Yeah, that's what happened with us. The prison was in Kevin's mind. And so Kevin began to change on me. Isolation, withdrawn, easily irritated by the least thing, highly depressive. I mean, deeply depressive. He would come home and he wouldn't even come in the house. He would sit outside. And I remember going to him one day. I said, "You changing on me." And I said, "Have I changed?" And he said, "No." And Kevin and I had no clue what was happening with us. So that's how Wife After Prison was birthed, to raise awareness of the psychological behaviors and the emotional struggles that individuals have when they come home from prison and how it affects the families. So that's how Wife After Prison started.
Okay. Hold on real quick. Okay. So when all of this started going on and you started recognizing that Kevin, was going through stuff in your mind, though, because I know I've heard you in your TikTok videos how understanding, and even like the forgiving and everything, when I hear you talk, it just blows me away, because it's like you're reading my mind, in a lot of things of what I was going through at that time. But when you would see Kevin going through, these, my wife used to be like you're here, but you're not here, and what led you to pursue the knowledge of what Kevin was going through? I mean, what made you be like, you know what, I need to fix him, or I need to fix me, or we gotta come to some understanding?
Yeah. So Kevin and I mean, it was very, very it was like an emotional roller coaster in here. I didn't know who I was going to get. One day I'm going to get Dr. Jack, one day I'm getting Mr. Hyde. And, it caused me to walk on eggshells because I didn't know what to say to him. It would take me sometimes days just to phrase one sentence because I didn't know how he was going to go off. Kevin and I separated 3 times because I was like, you know what, I can't do this, right? I started taking sleeping pills because that was the only time that I wasn't in pain.
Yeah.
I started taking sleeping pills and I had replaced my water with wine, right? So it was changing who I was, the woman I had worked so hard to become. And so I remember while we were separated, I asked him one Saturday, I said, can we just go to movies? Can we go to dinner? And so he said, yeah. And so he picked me up and we went to eat dinner first.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were at dinner, I was trying to just make some small talk and, just make conversation. And it was like stone face. I couldn't get nothing out of this brother. And so we went to the movies, and in the movies, wasn't no cuddle, wasn't no hold hand, and just like, you over here, I'm over here. And so on the way back, I said, I can't do this. I can't go through this anymore. I had spent too much money on personal development and coaches. I said, I can't do it. So I said, I'm going to file for divorce. And so that Saturday, when he dropped me back off, I came in the house and I went to my room. And I grabbed my go-to, my sleeping pills. And I put 3 in my hand. And I looked at them. And I put 1 more in my hand. Because a lot of times when your body is under a lot of stress, it's just hard to sleep. And I grabbed my wine and I chased it. But before I went to sleep, I said, God, what is happening with Kevin? And I dozed off to sleep. And when I woke up, as clear as I can hear your voice and you can hear mine, I heard the voice of God say, Google, can a boy become a man in prison? And I hopped up and I grabbed my laptop and I Googled those words, and up popped a list of websites. And the very first one was The Psychological Impact of Incarceration by psychologist Craig Haney. And the second was Post-Incarceration Syndrome and Relapse by the late Terry Gorski. And what I read is what I was witnessing in Kevin and what I was reading. So I copy and paste those links. I put them in the email and I sent them over to him. And a few days later, he called me and he said, yeah. He said, this is it. This is what I'm going through. And so he and I, we cried. We cried together. We now had language for our pain, but that didn't stop the support I needed. I needed some support. So I went back to Google. Support for family members whose loved one has been incarcerated. Nothing. Nothing came up. Nothing. So one day I said, I got to find me some type of support. So I went to Facebook. Again, not a big Facebook booker back then. And in the in the search bar, I keyed in prison wives. And up popped group. Seems like there's a prison wife group for every prison there is. And so I went in several of them. I just wanted to check the temperature in the room. I want to see what they was talking about. Was they talking about life after prison? Were they talking about post-incarceration syndrome?
Yeah.
It was talking about what I'm aware of, how rude the COs are. Countdown, 39 and a wake up. That ain't what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Right? And so I joined 26 of those groups. And I typed in, have you heard of post-incarceration syndrome? In 26 groups, over 26,000 people. And I was really nervous about what the response was going to be. So I waited like 3 days and then I went back and I had several answers, but none of them was yet. None of them was yes. It was, what is it? What is it? And so I went to Kevin and I said, we got to talk about it. And him being the amazing guy that he is, he said, absolutely. And we did a stream like so. And I post that in each of the groups. And then the cries start coming. Oh my God, had I known this, maybe me and my husband would still be married because I had to walk away to save myself. Another lady said, how had I known this, maybe my husband wouldn't be back inside. And one of the most heartbreaking ones that I heard was, had I known this, maybe my husband would still be alive because
Mm.
days after he got out, he committed suicide.
Wow.
Questions in the chat to the lady was, what happened in 3 days? What happened in 72 hours? But I had studied enough and read enough to know that it wasn't in the 3 days. What
Mm-hmm.
happened behind those walls that was trapped in his mind that he couldn't live with.
Yeah. Wow. That's deep. That's
Yeah,
deep.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the three stages that you talk about though. What is it called? The pit.
The 3 stages that I talk about it, I call it the 3D plus the V experience.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So this is what I mean. I had to do a lot of studying. And people ask me, was I angry with Kevin? Yes, I was. I was very, very angry at Kevin before I understood because he had told me about some pre-incarceration trauma, right? He told me about the incarceration trauma. I knew about the post-incarceration trauma. So this is the thing. This is the 3D plus the V. The first D is the disruption phase. Prison was already lifing, right? Abandonment, molested at 7, mom OD'd at 10, shot at 15, in and out of the prison system. I mean, in the foster care system. So you have this pre-incarceration trauma, never dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about let's go to trauma, let's go to therapy. And then when you enter into prison, prison is the disconnection phase. The D is for disconnection phase, right? So you go to prison, you're disconnected from yourself, you get disconnected from your identity, you get disconnected from your family, right? You have all of this stuff that you see inside, the violence, the stabbings, the murders, all of that. That is the disconnection. That's the incarceration trauma. Then you come home. That's the distress phase. Life is life. The life has moved on without you. Making choices is a struggle for you. Jobs is a struggle for you. Relationships are definitely a struggle for you, right? So you're dealing with all of these traumas. And then the V is for the view. We are the family members. We see all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we inherit the secondhand trauma known as the vicarious trauma.
Mm. Yeah, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is what I had to understand. I had to really go deep and say, and this is for family members. I want you to understand. I get a lot of questions a lot of times. How can I support my man? How can I support my loved one? You can't do anything without understanding, baby. You're going to have to really understand what prison does to a person. Not only what prison does to a person, but what trauma does to a person. Trauma rewires your brain. And a lot of times, because we can't see our brain, we don't think we don't think it matters. It definitely matters, right?
Mm.
You're conditioned in prison. One
Yep.
wife told me, she said, you know what? She said, I'm so glad that your video came across my For You page. She said, because my husband just got home. She said, and I have been beating him up about not making simple decisions.
Mm.
Inside, decision making was limited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Even so, yeah, you're right.
Decision making was limited. I mean, I've had guys to tell me, one guy, he said, ma'am, he says, he said, I had a meltdown in the grocery store. He said, I just wanted some coffee. He said, and when I found the coffee aisle, he said, there were so many choices. There were so many brands. There were so many flavors. He said, I didn't realize how messed up I was until I went to get a can of coffee. And these are the things that we as family members take for granted. And I want to share this with your audience. So, post-incarceration syndrome, a lot of people are going to tell you that's just PTSD. That's just a lie. That's just a lie, right? PTSD and PICS share symptoms, but the root cause of it is different, right? PTSD stems from one single traumatic experience, a car crash, an assault, combat. But prison PICS is thousands of micro traumas every day.
Yep, you're right.
Every day, right? Yep. And so this is why, I stand on 10 when they tell me this is just PTSD. It's not, because you lack understanding and you haven't taken the time to gain knowledge of it. Yeah, it's so easy to say this is it's just PTSD. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. So there are 5 core components to post-incarceration syndrome. 5. There's institutionalization, right? You're so used to this rigid routine day in and day out. So when you get out, then life feels overwhelming. Right? A gentleman told me, he said, ma'am, he said, please keep talking about this. He said, I did 21 years. I've been out 9 months and my wife has already filed for divorce. He said, I'm so institutionalized that I recreated my cell in our living room. And when my wife would say, hey, can you move this or whatever? He said, I would get so angry. He said, please keep talking about that. So there's institutionalization. There's social sensory deprivation. Your senses get locked down just like your body. Your senses get same sights, same sounds every day. No interaction. So when you come home, right, you're unable to feel like we're feeling out here. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Antisocial personality trait. Women be saying, he don't love me. He said he was gonna do this and this and that. He won't hold my hand. He don't want to snuggle. Huh? Come on. Yeah. He don't understand. But what you have to understand that his emotions were locked down. His emotions were suppressed. Being vulnerable in prison can get you hurt. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So for years you suppressed this. One guy told me, he said, ma'am, he said, I don't feel nothing. He said, and my girl thinks it's her, but I know it's me. Right? Yeah. Another guy told me, he said, look, ma'am, he said, I went in locking all that, shedding all that emotional stuff down. He said, because with the type of time I had, he said, I knew my parents was going to die while I was in here. And when I got the message, I didn't want to feel nothing. So when you have suppressed your emotions down for decades and years, just because he come out and he see you, yeah, don't just think it's going to pop off. Yep, that's right. Right? And then the substance abuse. A lot of times people use to numb this pain. Right? One of my mentees did 40 straight. 40. And when he got out, I said, hey, you want to go talk to somebody? He said, no, I'm good. I said, okay. You sure? I'm good. 3 months later, late night, I get a call. Miss Bruno, I want to go talk to somebody. I said, okay. I said, you want to share? He said, when I was inside, I saw somebody get their head cut off. And he said, I'm having nightmares. So I think I need to go talk to somebody. So another thing is family members, let me tell you something. Your loved ones is not going to tell you everything they went through inside. They ain't going to tell you all this stuff. They ain't going to tell you what they did, what they saw, none of that. Yep. Right? Yeah. Yep. This is a conversation, and I have to say this, JoJo, it is becoming a national conversation. When I started talking about PICS in 2017, Baby, people looking at me like I was crazy. Like, what's here this post-incarceration syndrome lady come again.
Oh yeah.
For 3
So
years.
people don't want to be challenged with the truth, you know.
No. For 3 years, I was on this island by myself, but I knew too much. You know, I had heard too much to be quiet.
Yeah.
And people started coming. Family members could family members could relate.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about the ones in the big house, in the DOC, and the reentry programs and all that. Oh
no. Oh yeah. No, if they didn't invent it, they if they hadn't presented it, you know what I mean? They didn't want to hear somebody coming out of left field with this information, you know?
Yeah.
That's good stuff though.
Yeah, and here she is, Miss Diploma. But this is the thing, JoJo. Then psychologists start DMing me.
Mm.
They want to have a meeting.
Yeah.
They want to have a conversation. Because see, what they had was in theory.
Mm.
They in that book. I'm lived experience with it. I pack stories. You don't have no stories. You got some text. But I got some receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started asking for my material.
Mm.
And that's when I said, aha. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing, Joe. Look, God is concerned about the mental health, the mental state of those who are inside and those who are coming home, and how it's not only affect the citizens who are coming home, but how it is affecting the families. He is concerned. Because I'm gonna tell you something, JoJo. I'm introvert. Get me in this office and I'm cool. You know, I would have shut this down a long time ago. But this ain't about Shelia. Mm-hmm. This is something that God, when he said, Google, can a boy become a man in prison? My pain was for my purpose. Because for years, I said, Lord, what you create me for? I know you just didn't create me for 2 children and to die. What did you create me for? And the beautiful thing about it is, although, Kevin and I went through what we went through, what the devil meant for evil, God worked it out for good because he is still my amazing friend. Amen. I love him. I could still call him today and say, hey, I got a light bulb up here. Can you come over here and help me with the light bulb? Mm. So, yeah. This is a God thing. This is a God thing.
Yes, it is. It's a God thing, but it's a very, very physical, realistic, thing that needs to be, touched and talked about and resolved, because what you're saying, I've been home, Sheila, I've been home 22 years. 22 years I've been out of prison. Wow. No rearrest, nothing. Got my beautiful family. I own 2 businesses. God has definitely blessed me. Yeah. But I still have them moments. So I still have them nightmares. Certain sounds will get me, I'm still not too affectionate. I try by faith to be affectionate with my wife, holding her hand. And, I catch myself, and I thank God that I have a strong woman behind me, because she puts me in place a whole lot of times, because a lot of times we'll be walking somewhere and I'll leave her behind, without even realizing it. Yeah. Like not even consciously aware that she's, 5 feet behind me still, and it's just certain things that, 22 years later, I'm still trying to resolve. There's 22 years later, that I'm still trying to, overcome. And I'm saved, I'm born again, and I believe I've been delivered from a lot of things, but it's like, I still have these nightmares. Sometimes I still feel like anger rises up about certain things, all these different issues that, like you said, a lot of them I had prior to going to prison, but a lot of that stuff, like you said, I've seen a lot of things. In one of your posts, I talked about how there's sounds that I just can't get out of my head. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's sounds, perverted sounds, things that, just man shouldn't be hearing,
Yeah. It's a guy reached out the other day, and he was like, ma'am, he said, I don't know if you've been to prison or not. He said, but everything you talk about, I'm going through it. And he said, even when his wife gets ready to go to work, she has to carefully pick up the keys, because even the jingling of the keys reminds him of the guards on the inside.
Yeah.
And one wife told me that she was wondering why her husband always slept with this pillow like
Mm.
this. And he went to use the restroom and he had made him a shank. And he
Oh
had,
wow.
I'm telling you, the stories will blow your mind. And
Yeah.
every time, and sometimes a lot of times, this work gets really, really heavy. And I have to always, protect my mental. And sometimes I have to push away because I
Yeah.
hear a lot of stuff. And sometimes it gets really heavy. And I'm like, oh, God,
Yeah.
I want to take a little vacation. Can I, And every time I was like, you know what, Sheila, I always get either a DM or a text message or something. And that right there, I say, okay, girl, get up, put your big girls on. You're still in the fight. Because it was my thing was this, when I wrote my first book,
Mm-hmm.
Wife After Prison, Caught in the Aftermath, Kevin and I was still knee deep in it. We were still knee deep in it. And so I wrote the book. And so family members, of course, was purchasing the book and they were getting it. And I was like, man, I said, this needs to be on the inside. I said, I feel like I'm talking behind their back. We're talking about them. So I made a decision that I would donate a copy of my first book, Wife After Prison, Caught in the Aftermath, to every prison in the US. And I've
Mm.
completed 17 states self-funded. And
Wow.
I remember getting a few letters that really just stays with me. And one of the letters that I got from a guy, he said, man, he said, I always knew. He said, this is my third bid. He said, I always knew at the back of my mind that something wasn't right. He said, but I didn't know that there was a name to it. And he said, wow. He said, I have messed up my wife's head. And he said, I have to call my wife and ask her to get a book. He said, because I am Kevin and my wife is Sheila. And then
Mm.
another guy, he said, ma'am, please keep doing what you're doing. He said, had I known this, maybe my wife, and he called her name, would still be alive.
Mm.
He said, when a civil conversation turned homicide, when I jumped off the couch and I murdered my wife, he said,
Mm.
I am where I am supposed to be for the rest of my life. Because this is the thing, when you have been in prisons are different, every person is different. No two people are the same. Their journeys are unique. And so this one guy said, I wake up aggressive every morning in there so I wouldn't get taken advantage of. So just think about it. You woke up aggressive for 14 years. 14 years, you woke up aggressive.
Yeah.
And just because you come out that back gate doesn't mean that aggression is turned off. And
Yeah.
so this is what we get. This is what we see as family members. Yeah. In the visitation room, everything was cool. Everything was Gucci. Everything, yeah. Love you, baby. Look good, baby. Da, 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 da. And you get to the house. What you want? And this is why a lot of people say, family members say, this is not the same person I visited in the visitation room. Yeah, baby, he had on a mask.
Mm.
Yeah, he had on a mask. Unbeknownst to him, he had on a mask.
Yeah.
And when he come home, life get the life, and in that post-incarceration trauma, that mask gonna slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jojo, thank you so much. Because let me tell you something. I could go about this. I'm headed to Vegas next week for a family conference on this thing. And I'm just grateful that it is becoming a national conversation. And it's platforms like yours that give this a voice.
Yeah. And that's been my goal. I think I shared that with you. Because I know what it's like to be an inmate. And I got to see a little bit of my wife and even my mom. My mom passed away while I was locked up,
Yeah.
And I seen my father, go deep into his addiction, once I was arrested, dealing with my wife, my mom, who was all stressed out and everything. I was her baby, and for me to be taken away for the rest of my life, I try to think, how does a mom feel knowing that she did her best to raise me, the best of her ability, and now the state is saying he's ours now for the rest of his life, And I don't think about the trauma that she was going through, because most inmates, we're very selfish. When we're in there, send me my package, answer my phone calls, send me their pictures, do this for me and do that, And we don't, I always tell people we have it easy in there. Oh yeah, besides the riots and the murders and the drama and the dope and all that stuff, for the most part though, life's pretty easy in there. We don't have to worry about where our food's going to come from, where our clothes coming from, any of that stuff. How we going to pay for our medical bills, none of that stuff.
That's it.
While our families are out here suffering and doing, living life, And when I came home, for real, Sheila, I was in a culture shock myself, because, I shared with you before we went live, me and my wife, we got married young, first of all. We were just teenagers when we got married. She was a teenage mom, and, she was a gang member trying to, get away from that to raise her kid and everything. And, when I came home, my wife was literally like, hey, this is your teenage son. I've done everything I could with him. Now you need to discipline him. You need to, show him the ropes. And I was like, I was just trying to be my son's friend, to tell you the truth. You had to go through his dad. I'm trying to be cool with them. But I battled with them pressures of being a husband and being a father and going out and working that regular 40-hour shift, a week, when I was so used to selling drugs and being involved in violence, and that's all I knew. And then going to prison, all of that was enhanced. Coming home and now trying to be a good guy and be a good husband and be a father, a role model. Oh my God. Hey, Sheila, there was times later on after being home, I'm talking about like maybe a year later, where my wife seen me in the bed crying, and I'm humble enough to say it though, but I was crying in bed, and she was like, "What's wrong?" She said, "Man, babe, I really want to go back to prison. I really want to go back to prison." Because in there, remember, for me, my story's crazy, because I wasn't supposed to come home. I wasn't looking forward to coming home. I had a work routine. I had an exercise routine. I was good with all the fellas. I had my purpose. I had my calling in there, and to come out here, it was like everything just got ruffled up. And now I need to figure out another plan in life.
It
was scary. It was really scary for me.
And this is the thing. A lot of times, the prison wives and the groups and things, they can't wait to the man get home. My man gonna get home, and da da da. And one lady told me, she said, I waited 30 years. She said, but it's just like I got another child. I said, man, how old was it when he went in? She said 17. I say he's still 17, right? Because we don't think about the arrested development. We don't think about, when you go inside, the age that you go in, emotionally, you get stuck. You get stuck at that age. Just recently, a guy reached out to me and he said, man, I'm over my head. They met while he was inside. She already had 3 kids. Now he's out, and she wants him to be the father for the 3 kids. He's just trying to find out who he is. Right? He's just trying to find out who he is, and now you want him to be the father? And this is why this conversation is so important. This is why I continue to educate people on, hey, right? Family members saying, and I'm just going to share, if you don't mind, some of my resources that I've written. Family members say, I was happier when they were inside. Right? Just like you said, I want to go back. They were like, I want him to go back. Right? Because they're saying they're happier when they were inside. And a lot of them don't know how to talk to their loved ones about post-incarceration syndrome. And I tell them, look here, you got to understand first, because if you go to talk to them and you have no knowledge, they're going to know you don't know what you're doing. So this is why I wrote How to Talk to Your Loved One About Post-Incarceration Syndrome. Right? And here, if you don't know what to say, I got a template for you. Yeah, just say this, right? And just recently, and I had always thought, I said, this is affecting the children too. It's affecting the children too. So recently, I just released, well, I'll release it in a couple of weeks. When a person come home, this is a guide for caretakers to talk to the children. So the children can understand, so they won't think that daddy doesn't love me, mama doesn't love me, in such a simplistic manner. This is for the children to understand what happens when a parent comes out of children. Doing time on the outside. Doing time on the outside. He on the inside and you doing time on the outside.
Wow.
This is a necessary conversation. Don't come out here half-cocked. You have to really, really understand. The second sentence, Jojo, let me tell you when I wrote this. When I got on TikTok, I wasn't on TikTok. I was scared of those TikTok streets. I was like, I don't know about these TikTok streets. But I got on there and I did a video, 5 ways that prison changes people, but not how you think. That thing has been shared over 6,000 times. Over 2,500 comments. The majority of them are from citizens who have come home and their family members. And when I saw how me just putting language to their pain, I was like, man, I got to put this in a book.
Yeah.
I have to put this in a book. And that's when I wrote the second sentence, because I understand now when you put language to the pain, then they don't think that I'm suffering in silence. They don't think that I'm crazy, whatever. One message that I got from a guy just said, thank you for clarity.
Yeah.
I boo-hooed. Thank you for clarity, because that told me that this man has been struggling for years, not knowing what was wrong with him. But I was able to put language to his pain. Thank you for clarity.
Sheila, you know, a lot of times what we tell ourselves is we need to man up, man. I gotta get out of this head trip right here. You know, I know I'm going through it. And we don't, you know, we're so used to not sharing our feelings or our thoughts, you know. We're used to just stuffing all of that, you know. And I mean, of course, you know, almost 99% of the time, the only emotion we're sharing is anger, you know, a little bit of some fake happiness. But majority of the time, you know, we walk around with that frown, you know, to back people away from us. You know, we literally don't want people close to us.
And
our own safety.
And with Kevin, like, I mean, he had that mask on. He was this good husband. He was doing everything, but it began to slide off. And I have to say this, when Kevin and I reconnected, and you've been out 4 years, I wanted to make sure that he could experience a lot of things that he didn't experience while he was inside. So I was taking care of everything. He was contributing, but I got it. What is it? I got it. What is it? Baby, I got it. Baby, that's me. I got it. Until I got mad, Jojo. I got mad when I didn't have no answers. Why you changing on me? And he just said, you know, he couldn't really answer because he didn't know. I just said, you changing on me. So I got mad because I wouldn't get no answers. So one day I went to him. I said, I need you to be the man of the house. I need you to be more responsible. I'm mad now, Jojo, right? I need you to be more responsible.
Yeah.
And he turned around and he looked at me and he said, Sheila, what does that look like?
Yeah.
What does that look like? He's in prison. You know, we're told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. He said, you had me on crutches. And then you just snatched those crutches from up under me. I said, wow. Yeah. So I'm telling you, ladies, in the intimate relationships, a lot of times it's not going to be personal. And I'm going to tell you something, you know, PICS is not an excuse for bad behavior. PICS is an explanation. At the end of the day, your mental health is priority. Yeah. So just because you're going through what you're going through, you know, if you ain't trying to handle your business, you don't get the right to treat me like this. So you got to deal with what you have to deal with. Kevin went to therapy and I went to therapy also. as a result of that. But what I found out when I was driving to therapy the first day, she was amazing. She's like, you didn't care, you didn't cause it, don't concern. She just gave me a whole lot of stuff. I was like, oh yeah, she cool. She know what time it is. Yeah. She on my side. She cool. Yeah. But that second time on the ride, on the drive there, I'm like, okay, he did this last week. I'm gonna tell him about that. Then he did that. I'm gonna tell him about that. And when I got in there, and Miss Loretta, let me tell you, she said, hold up. She said, last week we talked about Kevin. This week we're gonna talk about you. Yeah. She said, Kevin can stay over there with his therapist, and you stay over here with me. And if you all decide that y'all want to have a marriage, a counselor, then we'll meet in the middle. But today, I need to tell you about Shelia. This is the thing. Family members, we often think just because our loved ones have been to prison, they have all of the issues. What about this vicarious trauma you ain't dealt with? What about your pre-incarceration trauma and all of that? What about that you never dealt with? So often when you have trauma meets trauma, you have drama. So we have to be mindful of what we have experienced in life that we have never dealt with. And we cannot point the finger at our loved ones just because they have been behind physical bars, because how many of us have been locked up mentally?
Yeah. With no help. Yeah.
And I did a TikTok live, and I was talking to a young Hispanic guy, and he was telling me about his struggles. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you seek help to go talk about? No. I grew up in my household. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we keep strutting. Yeah.
And one thing that I know is that I always think of prison. I know there's a lot on TikTok that they're bold, to talk about, my man's in jail. But for my wife and for a lot of people that I know, though, they kept it to themselves. Like nobody in their workplace knew that they were married to somebody. My wife used to tell me that there would be guys trying to hit on her and stuff because she would be like, she had an imaginary husband that she would be telling these people about. But, oh, yeah, he's working this weekend. And, oh, yeah, he's not available for the Christmas party. Oh, no, he can't come to my award ceremony. Like, you're getting an award. Your husband ain't coming, for years and years. And she'll be like, man, you're just making that stuff up, And, of course, she ain't going to put no pictures of me and my blues and her visiting in some, prison yard,
Yeah.
And I noticed that with a lot of families, they have to live under the radar. They don't, it's not something to brag about for the most part, that my significant other's in prison and not when he's going to come home, And for me, I deal with a lot of families that are also, dealing with addicts out here in the streets, So it's, I look at it as like a secret society, where openly come out and ask for help.
Yeah, suffering in silence. A lot of them too are suffering in silence because they don't think anybody understands, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I give this platform a voice. And now when I talk, speak at events or whatever, I say, when are y'all going to hand the family members a mic?
Yeah.
When are we going to hand the family members a mic? Because, we can't talk about reentry without talking about families, because families are the number one stakeholders in reentry. Yeah. When are we going to invite them to the table so they can tell you all, right? Somebody that's never been to prison, somebody never have a loved one in prison, you never supported in prison, but because you have the funding, you get to sit at the table. But I got the experience and I don't get a seat at the table. So guess what I've done? I built my own table.
That's right.
This is why after prison, I built the table for family members to come and talk.
Yeah.
And if you don't go, like when I go next week, I'm going on behalf of the families. I am the voice for the voiceless. And I am the translator of the trauma that so many experience post-release. Why aren't we talking about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
This is going to be in Las Vegas?
This is in Vegas. Yeah, this is in Vegas. I fly on the 3rd. So it's the 4th and the 5th. The 4th and the 5th in Vegas. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Man,
Yeah.
send me that information. I might just pop up on you. Man,
Okay, yeah. We're gonna go to Vegas.
that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Really
And
good stuff.
another thing, one of the things that I want to do is to have a conference, and it can be virtual. It's for us by us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
us by us. So we can make post incarceration syndrome a national conversation.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff, man, this stuff needs to be presented during the pre-release of these inmates. You know, 'cause
Absolutely,
during
absolutely.
pre-release, I mean, pre-release is so bogus. Here in California, at least, when you're getting ready to go home, they tell you how to go to DMV, get your ID card. They tell you
Yeah,
you need to go to Social Security.
yeah,
But man, there's so much more that you need to be prepared for.
yeah. So you in California, so High Desert State Prison. I think it's High Desert State
Yeah.
Prison.
Hmm.
Okay. So back in April I taught for 2 days virtually
Hmm.
in the High Desert State Prison. And this wasn't pre-release. This was an organization that has a program inside. And so they invited me to teach the guys. I taught out of the second sentence.
Okay.
Taught out of the second sentence. I received, it was 25 enrolled, but only 22 was in the class. Afterwards, I got 22 evaluations from these guys. And here I go again. Man, I bawled. I'm not talking about one paragraph. I'm talking about front and back, 2 pages saying, this is what we need pre-release. And thank you for this. And oh man, I'm like, wow, this is the conversation that needs to be on the inside. But I have to be grateful because there are some organizations, DOC directly hasn't reached out, but there are some organizations who are inside, who have classes inside that have invited me to speak virtually. And when they ask me to speak, this is what I tell them. Okay, now you know what I'm about. I'm not sugarcoating nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So are you sure you want me to talk? And they say, yeah, come on in. So I'm grateful for that part of it. But we're going to get in there.
Yeah,
We're
that's
gonna,
awesome. Yeah, because
yeah,
I'm a representative every Saturday morning here in Chino Prison Institute for Men, and we teach a curriculum in there, on cognitive behavioral therapy. Changing the way we think, we change the way we behave, we change our our actions, and but that's some good stuff, man. That's some really good stuff, and eventually, hopefully, I could put you in contact with our founders of prison fellowship because we're all over the United States,
yeah,
and we definitely need to get that's them books in there, because these guys definitely need something to talk about other than all their war stories.
Kevin used to work for Prison Fellowship.
Oh,
So he
okay.
worked as the reentry specialist in the pre-release unit here, where he was released from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he went back in there and he told him, he said, man, let me tell y'all something. He said, when y'all get out of here, I'm telling you, I'll go get y'all some help. And they was like, oh, Bruno, that's just you. That's just you. And then some of the same guys that sit in the classroom are now back inside because they didn't heed the warning. So yeah, it definitely needs to be a conversation. And I remember when I taught, I didn't have the book out, but I taught Understanding Post-Incarceration Syndrome in that unit. And so I was teaching, and as I was teaching, the director was walking past the door. This 18 months, they out the door. And one of the guys say, hey, why are we just getting this? Because, I mean, it was like 3 months and 3 months left. And he was like, we should have got this when we first got here. And he was absolutely right. Because that wasn't just another class. That was the missing piece.
Yeah.
That we needed. So we're gonna keep talking about.
Yeah. So Sheila, how can my viewers, how can they get your books? Are they on Amazon? Are they on Barnes and Noble?
So my books, Wife After Prison and The Second Sentence, are on Amazon as well as my website. So my website is wifeafterprison.org. Now, as for my ebooks are strictly on my website.
Okay.
Yeah. And because I'm going to the conference, I've taken my ebooks and I've bind them so that they can have it in a booklet like But yeah, this is what it's about: raising awareness. No family gets left behind.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
no
right.
family gets left behind.
Yeah. And that's my goal. I understand the power of family unity. I know a lot of us, we burn our bridges. We've done a lot of harm. There's been a lot of there's a lot of unsafe, situations for families to come
Yeah,
back together. But I believe, with the power of God, all things are possible. And,
yeah,
I believe that the statistics change when a father is able to stay within the home and work on issues, before people start divorcing and stuff. I just believe that, with God, all things are possible. And, that's the way that I'm going about it, as far as, my passion and my desire and seeing families staying together, because a lot of times, like you said, when they don't understand what's the changes, it's not the same, right away, people want to give up. People are like, you know what? No, I don't got time for this. You know what? No, I wasted all them years trying to be there for him. And now he's a big old child. I already have 4 kids. I don't need another one.
yeah,
He's costing me more out here than he did in there,
yeah.
Yeah,
The thing that Kevin said to me, he apologized. He said, Sheila, he said, I'm so sorry that I brought you into this messed up life of mine. And he said, with the amount of trauma that I have experienced in my life, he said, therapy for me would have to be a lifestyle. And I said, okay. But my thing was, Jojo, are you going to make it a lifestyle?
mm,
You say it needs to be a lifestyle, but are you committed to that?
yeah,
Because what I'm not committed to
mm,
is losing my mind, because I
mm,
had worked so hard on me to become the woman that I am. And I was losing myself when I
yeah,
was ingesting sleeping pills like a M&Ms.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yep.
Man, Sheila, I thank you so much, though. I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
Yeah.
Um, Man, just for me, I feel like just in that little hour, I feel like I got me some therapy. Man, just following you along, and I can't wait for my wife. I want my wife to really hear it. I've been showing her some of your videos and stuff, and she was like, she's just like, wow,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
these families, man, they don't deserve, after all the sacrifice, after all the, just man, just the selflessness of their sacrifice and sticking by us, through
Yeah.
our nonsense, and then dealing with us in our transition coming home. I mean, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes a lot. And I always say, man, it takes a lot more than just love, because
Oh yeah.
man,
Oh yeah.
oh my
It's gonna
goodness.
take more than some love, baby, because they may not even want your love, baby. Because
Yeah,
they're trying to figure it out. They're
yeah.
really trying to figure it out. And I don't know whether it's ego or pride or whatever, but
Mm,
they're trying to figure out what's going on in my head. And then you got your lady friend in this ear, you don't love me, and you got all of this going on in your head. So that's why it's really, really important. And for me, when I first started studying this, all of those clinical terms, I was like,
mm,
no, I need to break this thing down. All these clinical terms. And this is why a lot of people resonate and gravitate and connect with me, because I've broken it down in such a easy manner, a simplistic manner where they can hear it and they can understand.
yeah.
Right. And this is what I tell mental health professionals. Don't come at them with all them clinician terms. You're going to lose them every time.
Oh yeah.
You speak language that they can relate to, and then they'll lean in. But if you coming in there talking about this and that and that, they ain't gonna hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what I had having conversations with some of the psychologists. I'm like, no, 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 no. Don't tell me about all that. I don't understand. I don't understand that. Right.
Yeah.
And so when I began to dissect it and pull it apart in such a simplistic manner where I can share with anybody and they can relate to it. So that's what I've done.
I said, not only do I understand you, but I feel it though. I feel it. Like when you talk, I watch your videos, and like I told you in the beginning, I'm not easily entertained, or I'm not easily, just
Yeah.
I
Tell me
just
anything.
yeah, it's like whatever, you know what I mean? Like talk is cheap for me, I would say. But when I heard you the first couple of times, I was like, and then it kept on coming back. I guess when you stay on somebody's video for so long, I guess it just jumps into the, into the
on your page. Oh yeah,
yeah. And that's what it was doing. You kept on coming back. I was like, man, Lord, like this sister right here just keep on popping up, like she's stalking me or something,
Divine connection.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But man, I have been blessed so by your video so far. I'm definitely interested in getting the material. So I want to be able to dissect it and get it in me so I can give it back out, and allow some of these family members just to be able to dig in as well and get some real help, get some real help. And I always say, it took me 8 years to graduate high school in prison, right? And then I ended up going on to college and whatnot. I said, but I always refer people. I believe in the medical professions. I believe in our psychiatrists. I believe in all them people. I don't hate on them. Mm-hmm. And I send a lot of people, pretty much because I don't have a lot of time to deal and open up people, to that extent.
Yeah.
All the time they come back and be like, Jordan, man, I tried. They don't hear me. They're not feeling me. I'm not feeling them. I'd rather just pay you to talk to me. And, I was a counselor for almost 20 years, before I started, doing my own private life coaching. And that's what they always tell me, because I would always refer them. They're like, they don't understand me. They're not giving me no solid answers to what to do next, But I'm grateful for people like you, though, Shelia, that, somehow, some way you didn't give up. You grabbed it. You got an understanding of it. And now you're giving it back. That's the main thing, because it's one thing for you to get right and stay right and be comfortable in your own skin. But when you because it's sacrifice. I know it is. Yeah. I know what you're doing is sacrifice and a lot of effort, a lot of money, because a lot of people ain't going to sponsor something that they, they're kind of like, oh man, what's she up to? They ain't going to want to invest in that. I know.
Yeah.
But when you believe in something like you're doing, though, man, I know that it's worth it.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to hit these platforms and starting to hit these ears, and people are starting to be like, that's the thing. When the psychiatrists put out material and stuff, what is it called? Evidence-based material.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like your stuff. They bring all of us and do what is that evaluation? They're going to see like all out of 100 inmates, 99 of them said that she's right on point in what they feeling, what they thinking, how they've been responding, how they've been acting, and then that's when they're going to be like, oh yeah, we need an evidence base this material right here.
Yeah.
It's going to be your reward.
Yeah, and a lot of it is download from heaven. It is. I take, okay, God, I hear what you're saying. I hear you. And then I ponder on it. I start writing and I start creating. It's like God is saying, okay, I want you to say this today.
Yeah.
Okay, I need you to say this. Okay, I need you to say this. Because sometimes I'll be like, wow. Yeah, on my own stuff, I was like, wow. And then I know that these are downloads from heaven. So I just want people to understand that God has not forgotten about you. He has not forgotten about you. He is concerned about the families. And I'm going to tell y'all something too, family members. Let me tell you something. Your pain is for your purpose. Yeah. So don't let nobody derail your purpose based on what they think or based on being shame or based on being embarrassment. Embarrassment is a choice. I could have been embarrassed, but I stayed on that island because I knew too much. Yeah. And with awareness comes responsibility. So I had a responsibility to share this.
That's right.
So when you get it, y'all just don't know. Me and JoJo just set y'all up. We just set you up. Yeah. Yeah, now you have awareness. You have a responsibility to keep sharing this.
That's right.
This information. Yeah.
Well, Shelia, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But we're gonna have to have a part 2. We have to do something. When you come to California, you gotta let me know when you come to California, because I definitely want to get you in person. I love this little video thing, but I need to feel you. I need to be able to reach over and be like, oh, yeah, because that's some good stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just, it just don't sound good. I know myself, it takes a lot to penetrate this and a lot to penetrate this heart. And your words, they definitely land, in that heart because, like I said, I'm still healing. I'm still in the healing process.
Yeah. Yeah.
22 years. Even though I'm helping other people, I won't deny it. Every day I
Yeah.
still got to work on self. Every day, like you said,
Every day.
like you challenge Kevin, are you gonna make this a lot? Every single day,
Yeah.
I need to make the right choice, not just for me no more, but for
Every
my
day.
family. I recently became a granddaddy. And I'm like, I've been
Congrats.
holding my little grandbaby, and I'm like, man, I didn't even think I was going to have any other kids, but now I have a grandbaby.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Wow.
Like
Well,
you said, it got to be a
congratulations.
lifestyle, man. This whole change process, the healing process,
Yeah.
even for the family, though. Yeah,
It's definitely a process. So we
yeah.
just gonna keep doing what we're doing.
That's right. I am so grateful for you. You are definitely in my prayers because
Thank you.
I know when something of this status is hitting the surface, man. I know that lying devil don't like it.
Yep.
I mean, the lying devil's always been trying to break up the home, trying
Yeah.
to bring confusion, trying to bring doubt, trying to bring fear. And
Yeah.
what you're doing with this understanding, it's. I mean, like you always say, you're giving a voice to that pain. You're giving a voice to that, them circumstances that people won't
Yeah.
ever suspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of us, we don't know how to identify it.
No.
After
No.
a while, we start thinking we're really going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then lastly, I say because I've heard guys say, I wonder why when I go to different places and restaurants, I post up.
Yeah.
Well, I can see this door. Right, because I'm not, I got to be seeing what's coming in, right? But they don't know. And then when you say, "Hey, man, that's hypervigilance." Hey, man, that's because for your head been on a swivel,
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
right?
You're
And then you're
right.
like, you know what? You show right? But that's what I call giving language to the pain so that they can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That is good stuff, Sheila, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank
My
you.
pleasure.
God bless you.
My
I'm
pleasure.
definitely going to keep in touch with you
All
because,
right.
man, you are, when I go into these programs, I go to universities as well. I do a lot of motivational speaking and stuff. And I'm going to have to bring you on these big screens when I'm in there to, just share some of your stuff.
I will.
Yeah.
And the most important part is Jojo, is they understand the 5 core components. You got to get those 5 core components. But within those 5 core components, those are it's some behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And the institutionalization is some behavior, social sensory. And that was my thing is I need to see what does that look like? You can tell me this all day long, but I needed to know what does that look like so when I see it, I can call it.
Yeah.
So, yep. Well, it's been wonderful. Get in my DM, like they say, like the kids say, get at me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And just anytime. I am so honored. Thank you so much for the
So
opportunity.
for all you viewers, if you don't know about Amazon, if you forgot the name of her books or anything, all you got to do is literally just type her name in the search bar, and her books are going to pop up. So Shelia Bruno, remember that. Come back to the video later on if you have to, but definitely go and get these books. I'm getting them, and man, check them out. I'm sure it's going to be even more details than what she shared within the last hour. So definitely support that call. Keep her in prayer, you guys. I got a lot of pastors that watch. So pastors, are you evangelists, man? Keep her in prayer as she continues on this mission.
Thank you.
Sheila, man, it's been a privilege hearing from you. And man, I am so grateful. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here.
All right.
You'll definitely hear from me again really soon. So, man, God bless you, Sheila. And we'll definitely talk again.
All right. Thank you so much, Jojo. Thank you.
All right, Sheila. God bless you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, people, just wanted to thank you guys for tuning in. Man, that was a great episode, especially for you prison wives, prison moms, all that, man. You definitely got to tap into them books, man. Follow her on TikTok. She's on Instagram as well. And you definitely want to, just hear her out, man. She got some good stuff to help us get through the different issues of dealing with our loved ones while incarcerated and out here, you know what I mean? So definitely look into that. Shelia Bruno, go on Amazon, check it out. Yeah, you're gonna have to catch the replay, bro. We started at 3 o'clock. It was a good one though. You definitely want to check it out. And Man, other than that, though, man, don't forget to hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll definitely be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock with another episode. Tap in tomorrow, 6 o'clock for sure. All right. In the meantime, you guys have a great Saturday evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, man. God bless you guys. You guys all take care. Talk to you later.